This week there was a little ceremony in Central Park. Tiny ceremony, obscure little ceremony. They took down a statue. So they have Central Park, there's so many of them, and they were trying to figure out that they have to get rid of some of them. They can only pinpoint one. This is a doctor who is experimenting on slaves, and they took off the statue. So the kids said, this is on April 17th, this is past week. New York City has removed the statue of J. Marson Sims, 19th century gynecologist who experimented and enslaved women, from a pedestal in Central Park. The kids said,
what took so long?
Well, what took him so long? It's unbelievable. This guy just went to slave owners and he picked up slaves and he did very painful experiments on them without sedation,
just like mango,
which was
like
already,
mango, exactly.
right, which was already available in those days. And after he developed his techniques, then he used it on women that were not slaves, and he did do with sedation.
They were shachor?
They were shachor, yeah. They were slaves. They were, yeah. That's the bottom line. So he was right. He was.
Why was the statue there?
Those mainstream science.
Why was the statue there? That's a good question.
Should have mainstream science.
And whenever it got to what he did, other besides that, they didn't print it. There was no fake media in those days.
Maybe it's mainstream science.
Wasn't considered so was such a faux pas to do it.
Right, that day it was exactly. But that's what he did. He was considered a father in this thing of medicine. He developed several techniques, but it was done in a very cruel and humane way. The kid said, so I was thinking about this and what so Shkocha brought this this week, which is Acharei-Kedoshim, and what Halacha have to say about this. So I was really scratching my head last night. I thought about something. Oh, so the first thing I was thinking is Shrichas Dama. The article says no one died. One of them was screaming in pain. Kemat died, but didn't die.
Maybe they can't reproduce them.
And well, that was the slave owners wanted them to reproduce so they could have more slaves.
Oh.
That's why the slave owners agreed to, they should be not on the field for a couple of months in the laboratory instead. Then there's Tzar Balachayim. It's also the Meforshim say if you're not allowed, it's a double portion. If you're not allowed to Tzar Balachayim, they're not allowed to.
Torture a mosquito, you can't torture a human.
Go all over the world. There's all types of the goyim. The goyim have like incredible thing of cruelty in them, like in China, like where they for some reason they think that it's a little easier to take off the skin of the animal while the animal is still alive.
You also bind the feet of the girls.
What?
Bind the feet of girls.
How do you know all these things?
They do. We're saying. It's not normal stuff.
Right. The goyim have a lot of axorius, and it's also
in Brussels Nights they had a story of it. In the China Zoo, the kangaroo was found maimed. Why? Because the Chinese wanted him to hop like a. We just last night I read it. They wanted the kangaroo to hop, and he wasn't hopping, so they threw bricks at it. China.
The Chinese people themselves did.
Yeah, the Chinese visitors to the zoo threw bricks at the kangaroo, and he died. And they had to put him out because he was in tremendous pain.
His wound.
Number 3.
News.
It's the Tzar Balachayim. Number 3 is Gezel is also by a goy, and we know Chazal tell us that how do you know that if you're a doctor that you have to perform medicine for a Yid and not do it for free. On top of that, that's a Halacha in Yehuda, is because it says v'shavei if you have to return to him an object worth $1.50 is a kol shkem v'kavachayim that you have to do a shavat saved on his goof.
A goy?
That's by a Yid.
No, but there's no Hashavas by a goy.
No, there's no shavat saved by a goy. I'm just saying
By Yid.
that if you're not allowed to steal from a goy is not allowed to steal from another goy. Kol shkem is not allowed to punch him in the nose.
What about returning the Veda?
I don't know, but that's chiyuv. I'm saying that we see that Chazal say that we learn a kavachomer that if you're not allowed to, so I'm saying, if a goy is not allowed to steal from another goy, Kolstein is not allowed to punch him in the nose.
Like a wise, how do you implement? You have to cure it.
No, I didn't say that. By Yid is a chiv to cure.
Oh.
By Yid is a chiv to cure. On Kaponim, if you want to look over here, just Lamaisa, I was thinking because it's slaves, maybe it's different. I was looking in the Rambam and the Gemara. So the Meseches Bava Kama da Pezayin Amadalach, Achayvel by the Knani Shel Achedim, Chayiv Bekulam, a person that makes a Chabol and Evet Knani. So you have to pay for Tsar, Nezek, Ripu, Sheves, and Boishes. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ein Lavod and Boishes. Rabbi Yehuda says that there's no paying Boishes for slaves. Doesn't mean that the slaves don't get embarrassed. It means that you don't have to pay them for
On top of this page, the Mishnah.
Ein Lavod and Boishes, they don't have Boishes. However, the Rambam Paskin is not that way. Why? Because the Meseches Niddah Mem Zayin Amud Aleph, there is a story in the Gemara, and the Gemara says that Shmuel wanted to do an experiment, a medical experiment of figuring out the Simone Bagus. It was not very complicated. It was not anything as close to Dr. Sim's experiments. It was quite simple, but it's slightly humiliating. So the Gemara says Shmuel Bodek Be'amtei. He did the experiment on his shifcha. V'yoav lo daled zuzi demei boishes. He gave her 4 zuzim in order to compensate for her boishes.
Did he give her a choice before though?
I would assume so. If he gave her the daled mezuzah, means he felt that there is a inyan of busha here.
And she was must.
I guess she was masking. Yeah, I would think. It's a good question. Shmuel l'tamei, dama Shmuel, la'oila mehem ta'avoidu, la'avoidu nesunim, v'lo busha. You're only allowed to work them, but you're not allowed to anything else, and including busha, you're not allowed to give them busha.
But isn't working in busha? I guess that's
Right, that's what they're
associated with
right.
avoid.
Right there, avoid. Medical experiments does not go into the loyal mehem ta'avoidu. Shmuel, goyim are allowed to have slavery, but there has to be rules, and there has to be the dinner of the Malchusa. Shmuel used to be miyachid the slaves that they should be married to a certain Evid, they shouldn't be hefker. Rabbi Nachman didn't care, machluf lahem, from slave to slave. Rabbi Sheilos mosalam la'Ravi, he even let them go out and do whatever they want. V'amar lahem azdarim Yisrael, one condition, that they never get close to the Yid.
But don't once you free Evid, it becomes a Yid, it becomes a Yid.
This is before he freed
This is
them.
before they freed them. They were not free. They were avodim.
Kanani.
I never can.
He's basically he's breeding them. He wants to get more avodim.
Right.
And the Arabim were presumed.
Yeah.
The good workers to go with the Arabim.
Exactly.
It's not in the Lishma. They want to have
Have
more
you had-
children.
Right, for sure. That's what they want. But they had the right to do that.
My army, you want to work?
But you don't have the right to be choivel and avid. So for sure, a goy is not allowed to be choivel and avid. Hilchas avodim perek tes halacha ches. Mutar la'avid be'evid knani beferech. You're allowed to make them work very hard. V'av pi shadin kach. Midas chasidus v'darkei chochma she'odam rachman v'roidev tzedik v'layach v'doil al avdei v'layotzer lo. The midas chasidus and darkei chochma is the person should be kind to his servant. V'yachileu v'yashkei should give him eat and drink and kol meichel ochal nishta from every food and every drink that he has. Chachamim v'rishonim v'noisel eved m'chol tavshel v'tavshel she'ochel. They used to give from every tavshel that they used to eat. Umagdim mozam behemes v'avodim l'sudas atzma. The Gemara says a story about one of the Amiram that used to give from their servants before he ate, from every dish that he ate. And the other one used to give him good food, but he didn't from every dish. And the first one was Oichet Tegil Elio, the second one not.
Wow.
Magdim mozam behemes v'avodim l'sudas atzma. V'reyoyim karei avodim al yadenen ken shiftcha al gibeta. V'chein lo yivazeh b'yad v'lo b'dvorim. You're not allowed to be mevazeh, even with words. La'avdus masan akarson v'lo lebusha. You're allowed to use them for avdus, like in the Gemara in Shmuel.
All this because ki avadim haytem be'erech Mitzrayim?
No, because you'll see soon. Lo yarbal of tzaka v'chas edar v'menachas v'ishkat hanoisav v'chem afurish v'daki v'toyim sh'haver ben emes mishpat avdi v'amosik b'rive imodi aloi b'vetan oiseni oiseyu v'kernenu b'rechem echad. Eve said that me and my slave, we came from the same womb. Not the same womb, but it means in other words, we're human beings. The this idea of achzorius, to be cruel to another human being, is only a thing by goyim. It's a staple of a goy to be cruel to another human being. אבל זרי של אברהם אבינו והם ישראל שהשפילו מהקדוש ברוך הוא טויבס התורה וציווס בחוקים ומשפטים צדיקים, the descendants of Avraham Avinu, who the Eibishter was mashpia to them, the Torah, rachmonim heim al hakoil, they have rachmonos, and v'cheim midos shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu shetzivonu loidamas b'hem u'oim v'rachim v'komayzav, and that's the midas of the Eibishter, and we're obligated to be done to him. The Eibishter is rachmonos on every creature. V'chol ha'merachim merachim v'lov, a person that has rachmonos on other creatures from heaven, they have rachmonos on that person.
That's why the slaves during before the Civil War were not the same. They were mistreating them.
Oh, you got my point. We would have slaves in New York today.
Right.
You wouldn't have to pay. You wouldn't have to go out.
15, 20 bucks.
That
war was lost.
It was lost for a reason because of all the cruelty.
And also, not to mention that we had 7 to 1 the amount of soldiers.
I was once teaching a class.
The North
The
did.
North had 7 to 1. Very good.
I was once teaching a class in yeshiva.
Yeah.
It was like 25 years ago. When I first came to New York. It was a very.
They were both
yeshiva
sides.
in
Both
Brooklyn.
Jews were
And I was
financing both
teaching
sides.
a history. And I taught about the Emancipation Proclamation. Hit Lincoln's freed the slaves. And one kid said, Mr. Levy, the Gedolim at the time said that they were from Canaan. So it says every Canaan Lama in the Chumash. So they shouldn't have been freed. So just said the principal walked in, and I just walked in, and it was not a coincidence. And I said, no, but Sancheiriv, we don't know who the Canaan is. Who's Canaan, who's not. And plus, the slaves that they were keeping is not in according to Halacha.
Not being treated the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a smart kid. But he was trying to say that no, slaves should be kept because they're Canaan, and Canaan is every Canaan.
That's
You answered right. You answered right. You definitely answered right.
Well to 1960.
Definitely answered right. The Rebbe has a moidik deal. What's the pshat that the Rambam says it's midas chassidus v'darkei chochma? What's this double ocean? The Rebbe says darkei chochma means that we see in the Chumash vayaneh misora v'ativ rech mepana. If you don't treat the servants right, they're going to run away from you. So it's a darkei chochma to treat your employees nicely. That's darkei chochma. So why does the Rambam have to add midas chassidus? So you understand, darkei chochma. If you have someone working for you, if you don't treat them right, they're going to run away. So why do you need to have midas chassidus? The Rebbe says because a person can always say, "What do you mean? He's my employee. I'm paying him. So sekumtem, he has to take some flack from me." Because a person, in other words, has a hard time to sympathize with what the servant feels. So therefore, you need to have midas chasidus in order to come to darkei chochma. But a goy that's a azus, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many avodim he has and how much pain he'll later have when they rebel. But he can't sympathize with them because he doesn't have the midas chasidus. So in Mela, the darkei chochma doesn't help. It has to be a combination of midas chasidus to feel what another human being goes through, and then you can have the darkei chochma. Al kaponim, look in the Gemara. Yom Adaflam Chesam and Beis. The Gemara says Shem b'Shem Yirkov. Mai b'Shem Shem Yirkov. Amar Balazer Akvuvi is Talam b'Shmoisim. The Maskin b'Shmayu. We don't make a big deal of their names. Rashi says that the person shouldn't give his son the name of a Rosha. So it seems very clear that this fellow was a Rosha because he was over mitzvah sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. So B'Meila, it's a good idea that they took away a statue. They should take away many other statues of Rishoyim.
Putting another statue?
What? No. Why is Avodas Perach though? Avodas Perach is pretty serious. What's the love of the Evetnan? The Perach.
In comparison to the Yid, you're not
The Perach is like the Chayra, it's also serious.
Ferech doesn't mean that it's Azorius.
We
It's
did
hard
that in
work.
Mitzrayim, that's what we had in Mitzrayim. We had Avodas Perach, it was like considered torture, right?
My teacher doesn't the Rambam say you're not allowed to give them jobs that are useless? Like
No,
tell
but
them to tie your
That's part of
That's-
Tzar
That's
Is that under the category of
That's only Evidivri.
That's only I believe.
Evidivri?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If a guy gives a guy a purse, whatever, he has to pay him for it. Let's say a driver gives him a purse.
No.
Well, the guy wants to become the
The Abishur said he has to do it.
Yeah.
The guy is megalgal, if the guy doesn't want, you can't force him. He has to be megalgal with him to 12 months. Try to convince him. Otherwise, you gotta let him go.
So next time you have to try to boost, you have to do breakfast? It says you have to give the evet first, or like a behemoth, or you can give them after.
He says it's Darkei Chassidus, you don't must.
Give them the right, but
It
it
says
have
that
to be
Darkei
fed
Chassidus is to give him
before.
first, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Darkei Chassidus
If you
to
have
give him
two Sheilos, you give him first Sheilah and you sleep.
I don't know. I don't
No,
know.
no,
I don't know.
no. That's
what
what
he
that's
Pillows.
That's
Pillows
that's
now.
Emet Ivri. Number 2.
Don't go.
I try.
There was a shaila that Rav Zilberstein said his father-in-law received. There was a fellow that was a heavy smoker, and the doctor was trying to get him to stop. But it was nicht geholfen. There was one of the Gdol Yisrael, Nebrak, who passed away. The doctor angefallen Zach. Next time the patient came, so he says, "You know why this Rav passed away? He was not that old." He says, "No, I don't know. You don't know? His lungs were eaten up by smoking. It killed him." Looked like a head of psashva on the patient. Now he feels a little bad. First of all, it's just because he treated that godel, is he allowed to give out this information? And the machlal is a desecration to the covet, to that choshev yida, that talmid chochem. So he asked the shaila. So Rav Yasher said, "What do you mean? So finish this week's parsha. Rashi says, "Mata maloyme, hoyre balazim razai moishle, balazim razai gave a moshel, lechayla shniknas etzli roife." There was a chayla that the roife came to visit him those days. He didn't go to the roife used to come to your house. Amar loy al teichel tzoynem al tishka betacham. Don't eat cold food and don't sleep in a freezer. Boacher amar loy al teichel tzoynem al tishka betacham. Shloi Thomas kederach shemeis ployni. The second doctor came. The first doctor gonish go off me. He's not listening. The second doctor came. He said, "Don't eat these and don't drink there. Don't sleep there. It's cold. You're gonna die." You know the other guy down the block. You know why he died? He died exactly. He did what you were doing. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He died. So you do this one more day, you're gonna die. The second doctor was Mazadez and better than the first one. That in order to give the command to Aaron, he should understand the severity of it. So the Abisha said, so don't do what they did, because the consequences is the same thing. So Rabbi Yasher said to the doctor, not only he did the right thing, but
Follow Turner.
that's what you're supposed to do. Another Rabbi were big tzaddikim. They must have been bigger tzaddikim than this Talmud Chacham. Still, the Fedish, the Torah says, "Acharei Moshe Nevnei Aaron." So if you can use
So you say you're allowed to do it.
So he said you're allowed to do it. So the Rebbe has a murder kavod on this. The Rebbe says that why did this all of a sudden, out of all the mitzvahs, the Eibishter, to this one, the Eibishter, like what's going on in this mitzvah all of a sudden that we need to have this special warning? So the Rebbe says, the Gemara says that the people that are sick, they have fever, and the fever feeds them. So therefore, they don't have a cheshek to eat because the fever is feeding them. Elamai, because they're so hot, so they want something cold to quench the thirst. So the B'meila, they want to eat ice and they want to sleep in a very cold place, but it can be dangerous for them because they don't.
Hypothermia. They don't realize the temperature's
They don't
really
realize
dropping.
right. They don't realize what's going on. And B'meila, it's a sakona. So therefore, there has to be a special zirus from the doctor. When it comes to Aaron HaKohen, he had such a cheshek to be close to the Eibishter. So even though there might be consequences, but he had a choilas ava, he had a cheshek, it was burning in him to come close to the Eibishter. So because he was burning, he might ignore the consequences and jump close to the Eibishter. And the Rebbe says there's two details in here. He might karbonis is like the Inyan of Achila. The karbonis is korban yilachmi, so he might jump into the Acharei-Kedoshim on the wrong time. So it's like eating the wrong stuff. And also, even on Yom Kippur, he might have such a cheshek that he'll run in before he get a chance to even pick up the Ketores. That's like sleeping in the wrong place, because he didn't come in with the Ketores. So Mamela, that's why there's this dafka, this mitzvah needs a special azora. The Rebbe says that the lesson that we learn from here is for every Yid. That on the one hand, we say that Bnei Aaron made a mistake. They had too much rotzi, too much jumping close to the Eibishter. On the other hand, we say that it has to be a constant tension in a Yid's life. And there has to be, on the one hand, the Yid has a cheshek to go in to the Eibishter so close that it's unbelievable that the pleasure is so intense that the neshama expires. like the Shnei Bnei Yarim. On the other hand, the Yid says, no, but the Eibishter wants, I should make a dira with Tachtonim. Because if there isn't that tension, it can get stuck with the Tachtonim without the dira. So therefore, there has to constantly be this thing. On the one hand, the Yid has a big cheshik to be close to the Eibishter. I'm not interested to go to work. Who wants to go to work? I don't want to go to work, B'chlal. I want to stay in the Beis Medrash 7 days a week. And then the person decides, you know what? But you know what, this week I'm going to go to work.
I want to eat.
Because the Rebbeinu Shalom says
Yeah, we're talking.
that Dira B'Tachtonim and Meila I'm going to go. And constantly there has to be that stress between the Rotz and the Shoy.
Rabbi, we're talking about doctors before. In Nar, they have one statement, Hatot Shebaruch Him Lagehinam.
Yeah.
Hatot, well, you know that, right? Dr. Uri.
Yeah.
You know why I say that?
Why?
Because every doctor, when you save someone, you think, oh, I did it. He doesn't put Hashem there. So that's the reason that you say Hatot Shebaruch. You have to say, I'm the Shaliach, Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm going to, cure these people. A lot of doctors, they have Tfilat HaRofeh.
Yeah.
On the office.
Yeah. Very good.
But some people learn it differently. They don't mean that all the Roifim go together, just the ones that think that they're Tovim.
Dr. Zeltzer made home visits.
Yeah.
Dr. Zeltzer made home visits.
What's the Parsha
Couldn't go
shot?
up steps, you had to pick him up.
Or even the best of the doctors go together. There's a bit
No, I
worse
know.
ones.
The Parsha shot is why? Because even the best doctors, they end
Didn't
up
go upstairs?
unfortunately
Yeah,
harming
one
people.
second.
What are the 5 pounds? You see some of the doctors, you see
Well,
that.
they say that.
They
The
think that they're
anesthesiologist
God.
says that.
That's not Parsha. I'm saying
No,
that's-
any anesthesiologist will
Even
tell
the
you.
best doctors that have
go to Gehenna because they harmed some
Well,
patients.
no, but
no, it means
not
Toshim Roifim, means
intentionally.
even the ones that have a hergish of God, even them are going to get
No, but any
Right?
anesthesiologist,
question.
any anesthesiologist will tell you.
I like
No,
the
no,
Any
It
anesthesiologist
doesn't
will
say
tell you
Gehenna.
it's killed
It's the most
accidentally.
It doesn't say, it says Harei.
It's impossible not to.
Surgeon.
Killed.
In that case.
You look at the average surgeon. Okay, the average surgeon.
I thought it was
probably
Pedro
the most
Gonzalez.
arrogant people.
It's a Dr. Uri.
They have. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Surgeons, especially general surgeons,
Yeah,
are by far the most arrogant people
yeah,
you'll ever encounter.
Right.
They have life and death in their hands. And
Right.
They make mistakes
Right.
all the time. A doctor just has to bury his mistakes. That's all. An accountant makes a mistake, he erases it, whatever. But a doctor buries his mistake. It's very true, and that it's unfortunate, but that's the reality.
Which book in Naf it says? I don't remember. Remember?
You think with all the mistakes they make, that they would be humble, but
Right,
it's
exactly.
just not the way it is.
No.
They make plenty of mistakes and they're very arrogant.
Too many people saying thank you, you saved me.
It goes to their head, 100%.
Yeah.
and they don't blame themselves, they blame the victim. They say if this guy would have been smarter, he would have recognized my great doctor work. and-
Human error.
Yeah. It's the victim's fault that he can't defend himself any longer.
He twitched.
Very good, very good.
Are you assistant doctor?
They have this thing in Canada now. We were going for Shmulik's chasna. We're coming back. Unbelievable thing. So they have today in New York and all over America. There's different laws about on the tobacco things. It has to say the Surgeon General says. Bigger ICS.
Yeah, you're right.
Pictures, no pictures.
No, they have pictures.
Scary
Lots of
stuff.
Pictures.
They really scare you, the Canadians.
Those
pictures
unbelievable.
On
Good,
his deathbed.
good.
Guys,
Black,
Yeah.
they have the graphic pictures.
Smoking on his deathbed.
No, each pack has a different picture, I think.
Yeah,
Each pack has a different
different
picture.
pictures.
So
You gotta get used
I've
to it.
seen it, yes.
Every pack
It's unbelievable.
has a different picture.
Yeah, you open up a cart and you see the Malchamavis Mamish.
Mama, that's right. A picture of a guy in the middle of an eye surgery at a lung and this.
Every pack has a
Yeah.
different picture, you know
And
that?
the little kids collect the cards.
You find cigarettes first. I was like, I couldn't finish the cigarettes. I was like, where are cigarettes?
I asked the salesman, does anyone buy this stuff with these pictures? So Mela, that's the pshat. The pshat is the chochem is royas anoila. The chochem could see what's going to happen, but sometimes a person doesn't see what will happen. So Mela, that all of Olam Haz is that way. That's what the Yetzer Hara does. It makes it look good in the outside. The chochem has to see what's what's the real stuff on the inside. Mela, the doctor, which is a Reif and a Fosher that has wisdom, shows the person. You see that? This is it. Turn the page. It's Shaila and Tzitz Eliezer. Help the Eibishter. All three things we'll cover today has to do with medicine and doctors. Which is Sheilos with this week's Parsha. After Kamoichom.
We have doctor in the house.
Antazai, very good.
Be careful.
I'm just a podiatrist.
It's not an MD. It's not an MD.
No.
An interesting Shaila.
Is that an MD? Podiatrist MD?
DPM.
Just don't stub your toe, alright?
So a doctor asked the Shaila, and the Tzitz Eliezer tells him a very interesting thing. I'm not even sure at the time that this tshuva was written that in general, and there was a consciousness for this issue. Tzitz Eliezer says that, a lot of times doctors take their students, they take their rounds in hospitals, they come up, they read the chart, they show a head, they open up, and the patient feels like, an animal in a cage. Like, feel like Betsy, Lucy, and the other one over here by Dr. Sims.
In the military, it's the most common.
It's called a guinea pig.
They try on you.
Guinea pig.
Mangle your mouth.
No, but that's something else. Here, they just... So he says, an interesting thing, that Tzitz Eliezer says that he thinks it's absolutely osur api halacha to do such a thing. Absolutely osur api halacha to do such a thing, unless you have patient's consent. You mafayas the patient, but not stop doing the rounds and showing off the students the machlas of the patient.
They normally ask the patient.
I think today it became
Today
right.
they ask. I don't think
they do it.
Not always.
It became more of a thing. It became more of a consciousness.
I was if you had a cellulitis. They asked me
The guy came, he was like, "Could you mind if we do it?"
Yeah, he has to do
They became, but I think at the time when this tshuva was written many years ago in Israel, I'm not sure at that time and there was such a consciousness for it.
During anesthesia, when they're under anesthesia, general anesthesia, there's also the same halacha applies. You can't just, just because the person is under anesthesia, you can't just poke around the body. And then I see that in the hospital, no question about it. I mean, there's no permission. They didn't ask permission, and they just, they show students different situations.
That's horrible.
And it's really, it's.
I can't imagine at this time day and age that goes
Forget
on.
about that. Something
No.
Maybe with the Teimanim. In Israel they did it.
But I'm saying in certain situations in hospitals,
We still do it.
they'll,
What are you talking
they'll
about?
do certain things that are not.
Last year I do a surgery.
Even
They did it to you?
They come they speak this and they didn't put for me so much anesthesia. Like I heard them what's going on over here? Like
You can sue them. Can't you sue them?
after this I tell them
You go to the teaching
joke.
hospital.
Every hospital's a teacher.
What was it doing?
So there was
I don't know, until I was following
there for
this and
there for certain
they speak and
they find a
also my friend tell me this that they bring
all these
students
doctors
and
have
So what's it called? It's when my wife went to.
You gotta teach the
I
next
remember the first
generation
time we had a kid.
No, but still,
midwife
they're
said
for
when
certain
people walk
hospitals,
into the room,
they
say,
build
"I'm
them
sorry,
up.
we don't let anybody else into the room."
if it's
Every
something where
person's
it's
walking in,
psycho
it's
spread,
sick,
it's like
like,
story,
"Oh,
but
Hi, can we? No,
freak
no,
show.
thank you, no,
Sounds like a
no,
freak show.
I just kept pushing the door closed, and people just keep on walking in.
That's a freak.
When we were in the hospitals, I told them we don't. I want any residents. Not even to do anything. Just to check the I only want attending physicians.
Right. But I think today there's more. If you say it, listen to you. But when this tshuva was written, I think it was a chidush davar, and he has a beautiful raya from this week's parsha. So look at the second paragraph. Zuri tshuva gam lama shekavoy de shoy loyvem es geres sheilosoi im yesh mishum gilu said badracha studentim liadmit as a choylak shamatori ilimud as student for lazar al choylak. There's the doctor takes a vow, so he wanted to know if this is a contradiction to the vow. Bekam midis ma dobra yoyse posher lahat the b'shas shvu yedei koroyf shad studentim liadmit as a choylak shem shnogo yisikocha ועד אלוקים ולהחל בשבוסה של הלגלס גם לסטודנטים ויש עוד סבורה נצפס להם וכל חכם יש נקלל מהתלמיד יוסף וכולם וידי הסבורה והסבורה להם והשיילוס ששאלם לפעם מסוירה גם אצלי דבר מה חודש לתהלס רפואסה של החולה באופן שיוצא גם שיש בזה איך שהוא גם עזור לחילוס. He said that's not an issue. The vow that you made is not the problem. He says a different problem.
How the student will learn? If they don't see actually operation,
Get consent.
Ask.
Ask.
yeah.
Ask
Like
the
a
family.
man.
the same asking and seeing.
No, asking the patient.
Ask
If
the
the
patient.
patient.
Fine. Some patients will say, I don't mind.
Or some patients say, give me a few dollars.
Yeah, be mefayez them. Be mefayez them. When you have to ask automatically, so you have
Especially
to
if you
mefayez
get bill
them.
extra.
So maybe the doctor will, the day before, already treat them a little better because they know they want to ask. So the mailer, they'll treat them a little nicer.
They'll come whenever you call them.
Yeah,
They
they
treat you
feel
nice.
that they owe something to the
Rabbi,
person.
when I had my heart surgery, for 7 hours, to change 2 valves, I had a student that came follow me for 2 weeks, even came to the rehab, because he was there, and he said, I want to follow to see all the way. So he said, I saw you, and 7 hours operation, and I want to, very nice. So we, Jewish guy, but not religious, we try to bring him for Shabbat,
Very
we
nice.
try, it wasn't a success. He's not living here. Said if you come to come to Brooklyn, please give us a call, and we contact him.
Very nice.
For
So
a
you're
while.
lucky. You're a good mazel. Good mazel. The Rabbi Shalom's with you. With every one of us.
He
You
said
have a
with
big
Psachia Korf.
Yeah.
It was a what do they call the student when they're going through the before they become doctors?
Resident.
It was a resident, the one that was doing CPR the whole time on him. It was a resident.
Wow.
Oh, that's when he had the mice in yeshiva
He
there.
had fire.
What saved his life because the other guy wouldn't have bothered.
The resident, yeah, it was the resident. Says I didn't see, I had no clue what happened to this guy. I was trying to contact him.
It was only on a resident. It was only on a resident.
Tzachי is a holy Jew,
So is Eli the resident.
אלא שבבחינה אחרת יש לודן על דבר הסיפס הרויפה מסובב למיתוס החילוס, סטודנטים. מתלמידים אמר להם מקיימוס ניגי המחלה בשטחי הגוף, ואפילו במקיימוס נסתורים. ומפני יש בזה הלבונס פונים, ובפרט כשמביאים גבורים מסובב לאיש החילו, or להיפך. It's very embarrassing, it's humiliating to a woman when there's 5 men standing around her and looking at an issue that she has, when they're not there to heal her, they're there to learn. ואני רואה סמוכים לדבורי בדברי הגון הנציב בעמק דובר. המויר דקראי he brings. I mean, it's a dover Parsha, it's albonas pono, it's also. But just a cute thing, a chap that he has here. It says in the last week's Parsha, Lahoidus beyoim hatome beyoim hatorah, zois toiras hamatzorah. So he says that Ivet says, the Toiras Koyanim, based on Toiras Koyanim, that Ivet says, Hazachidush. The Pirush Lahoidus, haina shakoyin niya moira, b'shosha ba ma'isel upona, v'yakoyda l'talmidav laharis lahem, be'ayin tsuras hanega uprotav. That v'zer shemasayim akra b'loshem v'zois toiras hamatzorah. So the Kohen is called to see a tzara. So he calls his Talmidim and he says, come. He says, the whole class, come with me. And Lahoidus, to teach his students, and Zois Torah Samatzoyra, that's the Torah that that the Kohen has to call all the students and say, you see here, pick up your shirt, oh, here, oh, you see? That's a nega. This is not a nega. Koisev Lavar, Bnei Shezeu Adim, Eine B'chol Mokev, Elo B'tzaraz, the Be'emus U'B'zoyin Godel Odom Sheskapsa Tavidim Rabim Me'avital B'Snori V'Negei. And Vadai, that's Be'eiros Keyoytzev Zeb'Mokem Acher, also lasts Ken Lahalov B'nei Shoel. Avol Zois Toides HaTzorah, She'igiloi Kaporo, She'hil Ben Hu B'nei Chaveiroi. Moire Dikacham. That the Netziv says that's a kapora. He was Malbin, his friend. So the Abish that wants his kapora, it's his toyelis. The Abish has said that the Kohen should bring his students and he should show on his skin. You see, this is a nega, this is not a nega.
Yeah, that was Chaim Yankel, that was Beryl.
Mamela, he'll be Nisbayish, and that will be his kapora. Says the Netziv, from here we learn Adin, that only a Mitzorah you're allowed to do that. But a regular patient, it's also to do it. So Mamela, it's also to do.
Why can't you learn how to cover things? Was such a bad guy. So why can't you do it with someone that's not as bad? If a bad guy.
No, but
it's only
by a bad guy. Only by a bad guy.
That's his kapora. He's going to be humiliated now, and that's going to be a kapora for him, the humiliation, and that's why the Torah gives me an exception. In other words, usually the default position, it's also.
But he already has the goyim on his body to begin with to give him pusha.
And it adds a little salt to the wound.
So I'm saying, it's a
Love dafka. Where
Mother, someone that has already has a
where would
consent-
it be? Where would it be? Where would these things be? Where would it
Well,
be?
this-
the-
it
the
could be on his
goyim-
face and his beard. It could be
Well,
anywhere.
the goyim could be under his
Under a shirt.
Right.
under shirt. No one sees. There's no
Right.
bizoyim. But when the coin is going to come with,
Nobody said wait for
with
7
Good
days.
point.
This is
But-
before he leaves, when the Kohen's coming to check him out. So the Kohen brings his whole class with him. Says, I want to check out a mitzvah. Come, let's look. Oh, you see this? It has the rounding. Oh, this one over here is.
Wait a second.
That's a beauty mark. That's a.
That's not done. That's done in private. The first diagnosis is not done.
He says, but
in the
in front of
lab
his whole
room.
class.
I don't know. If Lahoyd is being a Toma, being a term
I'm
the
talking
first
about
time
the
or the
first
second
one.
time. I don't know.
What's the whole?
Because
Maybe
if he's
it's the
not,
first
if
time.
he's innocent, why would he want to go in front of a whole class? Then?
Yeah, listen. If there was
So that's
a
why I'm saying,
type of-
you're right, that it is a Kavakay. Mother, someone that's only a suffix, and he gets pushed, or someone that's really a bad guy, for sure.
he spoke Suffolk Lashon Hara.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, forget
He was only telling over a story.
I'm just saying that Mother, someone
What's
that's not Mesupik, if you're right, Mother, someone that's Mesupik, that he's guilty, he can be Mevaish, but obviously you can see Kavakay with someone else that's not.
Once he's
That
once
is, I
he's
mean, that
sent
is.
out, why would the Kohen come to bring his class? That the guys in the camp outside come and check these guys out.
Well, first,
Is that what he would do?
Because he knows for sure, he's not doing an experiment.
He wouldn't try. That is an experiment.
No, he's not,
Good.
he's just, he's making a
Come
public.
involved in his bonnet.
I will. Believe me, everything I've learned, I'm going to incorporate right
Okay,
now.
very good.
Rosa, what about what he said before about the fact that it could help the? He's just giving the tooth studding.
The what? Sorry?
Did he dismiss that the svara before that it could possibly help the patient because mitami deyus mekulam?
No, that
He's just
he
giving
was
the
saying, that way he was only saying a svara mitzad the shvua, because the Roifa takes a shvua that there's confidence between him and the patient.
Why can't there be a svara to? So what if he's
Because
embarrassed?
this
Trump
patient
says
is
it's
not
gone.
going to get any Teyelos. Because this patient is not going to get Teyelos.
Why
It's
not?
very
Tell me they said that the student will ask a good question. He'll be, oh, you're right. By the way, he needs this medication.
But that's not what he's saying. You could say such a svara. I hear what you're saying,
It's not
but
what
that's
you're
not what
coming
he's saying.
for.
Okay, I hear you're saying it's svara. But he doesn't think that was strong enough. You would have to ask Rishus. Okay, Nilmud Bezeh Gam, Yesh Mokum Lesser Leroifa, Lesser Misaviv Lemitis Achayla Studentim Talmidim, Mishum Mislamdim, Mishum Isser Halbonus Bnei Achayla, Neroe Eifa Sharoifa Yeratza Achayla Shiaskum Lakach. Vima Bia Hisnagdus, Yesh Loilim Noyam Alavim Saviv Lemitis Achayla Zeh. That they should not allow to do it. V'yesh laharich. So what's the upshot that we could take from this? For most of us here are not doctors, but we're learning in Pirkei Avos this Shabbos and Perek Gimel about halbonos pnei chaveirei, that it's a terrible thing. The Gemara says that that Achav was zoiche for Malchus because Yerovam, because he was. I gave Musa to Shlomo Melech. And why did he lose his malchus? Because he gave the Musa Barabba. And the Rambam says beferish in the Hilchas Deis that a person gives Musa to another Yid, never allowed to be with Albonas Ponim, only Beina Ben Atzmai, private. Never ever allowed to be any Albonas Ponim. In the mitzvah of giving teichochet to someone else. You have to be very, very nizir in this. We see by the Rebbe was incredibly careful, even though the Rebbe many times called out issues, because the Rebbe felt that it was a very important issue. Last night, for example, the Gem video, the Rebbe made a big deal about the Israeli boats that the Rebbe felt was Chil Shabbos. Okay, all sorts of things with the Rebbe. But from all the years, the Rebbe was so nizir, unbelievable zehirus. She'en kamoise ba'olam mamash, never, ever to say a name. Never to say a name.
Correct. Yeah.
Never to say a name. The Rebbe didn't want to say any names. It shouldn't be.
Someone was just saying when the Rebbe spoke about a certain sikh, a famous sikh about this ish, and Rebbe says, "Don't think I'm talking about him.
They didn't mention. They didn't. They still didn't mention my name.
Don't think I'm talking
The
about
Rebbe
him."
never also said that he doesn't want. They shouldn't.
They talked about the Spitzer Siddim in the men's too.
That's probably why they got that key.
Well, he talked about the Spitzer Siddim in the third dig, and he didn't mention my name
So
either.
they use that key.
Right? Yeah.
There was once, there was, I was
Nothing to do with, it had nothing to do with
Exactly what he
Oisei.
did.
They just gave him that kidney because they didn't want to be Mavayishim Barav.
Why would you compare him to?
No, it wasn't.
There was once a thing in the Aguda convention.
Yes.
Rosh Hashiva that got up and he said something about that Chabad, this is Medum Mefzoyim. It's like Esav that Yitzchak had that got a bittul tzatush. They made a mistake and he thought Esav is a tzaddik, or the Chabad think that these not religious Jews. Kids, the Rebbe was very upset about it. I don't know why. Some things that Rebbe like he felt like.
Who made that quit?
Huh?
Who made this? Who said this?
I don't know, but there's a letter.
Some lets me?
No, Rosh Hashiva.
Rosh Hashiva said it?
It was a Rosh Hashiva.
No.
The Rebbe, there's a letter to Rav Hutner. The Rebbe said, "Hey, Tochen, you didn't make a machoah." So Rav Hutner said, "I'm sorry, I apologize, but I wasn't there. And if I would have been there, I definitely would have made a machoah." Kaponim, I learned this. And I was wondering, who's this Rosh Hashiva? Who's this Rosh Hashiva? I usually had these things, not Negaya, but I thought so I asked Rav Zelikson. So he told me who the Rosh Hashiva was. So the Rebbe spoke in the Shabbos. The Rebbe said that this is a Rosh Hashiva. That his Talmidim are over and Gewaldike Surim because they're over Nissen Nida. They're touching a Nida. And he's standing and talking as a Chazachim. Talk to your Talmidim. They shouldn't be over every day in Nissen Nida. Which Rosh Hashiva is Talmidim are over Nissen Nida publicly? It sounds like off the moon. So that's why I wanted to know which Rosh Hashiva is. He said the name of Rosh Hashiva is Rosh Hashiva, is a Chosher Rosh Hashiva, is a Yeshiva University. And unfortunately, they're not Nizar in what they call today, what do they call it? Negiah. So they're not Nizar. It's Rachmal Tzon. It's a terrible issue.
If you're very firm, they say if you're Shomer Negiah.
Right. They make it a whole Litzonis, a Shomer Negiah.
No, I'm saying the firm ones are Shomer Negiah.
But it's a Litzonis, Shomer Negiah. And the Mela, the Rebbe was upset about it. He said, Rosh Hashiva. Well, I learned the Sikha and I found out who it is. Mamish, it's unbelievable how Shkoch Yonah happens. That day, or was the day after, I was driving my wife on East Ocean Parkway, and there's a Iltara Yidela, he's driving very carefully, and he's crossing an intersection, and a Schwarzer woman bang into the car. Okay. Nebach, an old Yid and his wife, and they're like, you think she would come out and apologize. Just as it happens, she jumps out, just screaming, yelling. Unbelievable! Like I'm standing there, I could see what happened. So I said to my wife,
"She's angry at the victim, at the victim."
Yeah, sure. So
they need her. She called them, but they need her.
Yeah, exactly. I said to her, "You know what? Drop me off, and then it wasn't that far. I'll come home later. I'll stay here." So I stayed there, and if the police will come, just a witness. Yes, I would be a witness. And I stayed there. First of all, the shiksa couldn't scream that much anymore. Someone came out and says, I saw what happened. It was Haksta China. So I waited there, and the tow truck came. And this fellow didn't live that far. He said he wants to walk home, so I walked home with him. It was the son of that Rosh Hashiva.
I have a story to tell you.
Wow.
Does the Rebbe have a story to tell you?
I want to tell you that you mentioned about the ships, right? There's a letter from the Rebbe. I heard from Samuel Koski, he told me last week. There's a letter from the Rebbe about the ships. A guy wrote to the Rebbe that he went on one of these Israeli ships, and he said it was beautiful Shabbos. They gave him fantastic wine.
Kosher, everything was kosher.
Kosher wine, fantastic. So the Rebbe wrote to him, "Getrunken Yayin Nesach." So he went Shul Shabbos for Hetzia. And the Rebbe wrote him.
No, these days are the days that are leading up to Sfiras Aymed, where it's in the Talmid Rebbe Akiva. So the Eibah shall help from the schus of being the Zehirus in the covet of another Yid, at the same time of giving her chochet to a Yid, but doing it in a way that the Yid feels good about it. So Amela, we should be zoche to Kavim Makabel HaTorah, the Simcha, but Pnimi is the Rosh Hashanah Mashiach Tzedkei.
Amen.